You're making decisions every day at a fraction of your actual cognitive capacity, not because you're not smart enough, but because nobody taught you that brain performance is something you can actually control. You're so used to subpar thinking you have mistaken it for your ceiling. It's not, and fixing it is simpler than you think. You see, most founders treat their brain like a fixed asset. It either works or it doesn't. Good days and bad days. Coffee in the morning, crash at 3 p.m., and repeat. That's not a productivity problem. That's a hardware problem. Because the business decisions you make are not just a matter of how smart you are. They are a direct output of a neurological environment you're operating in every single day. And if that environment is compromised, you're chronically stressed, you're not sleeping enough, you're running on caffeine and willpower, your decision making gets worse. Not dramatically worse, just sort of quietly, consistently worse. You don't feel broken. You just think this is your normal state. It's not. I spent years on the other side of the problem. Back in the day, I built and sold a supplement company. I worked with biochemists to find what actually moves the needle for founders, not gym performance, not general fitness, but specifically cognitive output under pressure. I'm out of the business now, so I have nothing to sell you. What I do have is 10 plus years of personal experience and the biochemical reasoning of what actually works for founders. So, here's what works. First, focus. Let's start with focus, because this is where most founders think they have a caffeine problem, when they actually have a ratio problem. Caffeine alone spikes your alertness, but then crashes it. You know this. What most people don't know is pairing caffeine with L-theanine fundamentally changes its effect profile. L-theanine smooths the stimulation curve. The jitters disappear, but the alertness stays. You get what caffeine was always supposed to give you, sort of calm, sustained, single-pointed focus. The research-backed ratio is 200 milligrams of L-theanine to 100 milligrams of caffeine. One espresso gives you roughly 60 to 100 milligrams of caffeine. And take L-theanine in capsule form alongside your usual cup of coffee. This is the closest thing I have found to a reliable and powerful cognitive on switch. And unlike most supplements, it works the first time you use it. There is no loading phase, no waiting for weeks to feel anything. You take it, you sit down to work, and you notice the difference right away. Next one is stress. You probably already know your decision quality drops under stress. What you may not know is that your baseline on a normal, non crisis Tuesday is already compromised. That's the part that needs to be fixed. So, stress resilience. You can't supplement your way out of genuine business pressure, I'm not going to tell you that. But what you can do is build a more resilient neurological baseline so that when the pressure hits, your brain doesn't degrade as fast or as far. Two things do this better than anything else I've used. The first one is lion's mane. This is one of the most researched natural nootropics available. It has neuroprotective properties, genuine improvements in focus over time, and meaningful effects on anxiety and depression. The benefits build with daily use and disappear when you stop. Aim for 1 to 3 grams of high quality extract daily. The second is ashwagandha, specifically KSM66. Obviously, it doesn't reduce the pressure you are under. The deadlines, the cash flow, those stay exactly the same. What changes with ashwagandha is how intensely you feel the stress. People on KSM 66 report the same stressors hitting with considerably less force. Same situation, lower internal alarm. The downside? It takes 4 to 8 weeks for a full effect. Most people quit before it kicks in. Take 300 milligrams twice daily, so 600 milligrams in total. Think about for a second what is actually at stake here. If your cognitive baseline is declined, you don't just make worse decisions. You make worse decisions and have lower confidence in your decisions and second guess yourself more and delay longer. The whole system slows down. That compounding effect is not theoretical, it shows up in your revenue. Now, brain health and mood. The first is omega 3, EPA and DHA fatty acids specifically. Almost everyone is deficient, and adequate EPA intake, 2 to 3 grams daily, shows measurable improvements in both mood and cognitive function. Not as a sort of a vague background benefit, but as a clinically documented, repeatable finding. I combine my omega 3 with vitamin D3 at 6,000 IUs, paired with vitamin K2 for absorption. And finally, creatine. You probably think of this as a gym supplement, but it's not just that. The cognitive research on creatine is increasingly significant. Faster neural firing, reduced mental fatigue, better processing speed under load, etc., etc. The effect that matters most for founders. Creatine partially compensates for cognitive decline from sleep deprivation. Most founders are chronically underslept. Creatine doesn't replace sleep, but it narrows the gap between who you are rested and who you are at 5 hours of sleep. Take 10 grams daily of creatine monohydrate. The cheapest form is also the best studied. No side effects, no cycling necessary. You can stay on it indefinitely. I understand if you're skeptical, but just give it a try. You don't need to overhaul everything today. Start with the L-theanine and caffeine stack. See what a week of clear thinking actually feels like. Then add creatine and then give the ashwagandha its 8 weeks. The goal isn't to be a different person. It's to stop making decisions with a foggy version of your brain and make it function to the best of its ability. If you want to go deeper on the psychological side, how pressure actually distorts your decision making and what to do about it, click on the link below to get personalized guidance.